When we think of the Mughal Empire today, we picture absolute permanence, the sheer scale and stability to build the Taj Mahal. But rewind a century before that marble was cut, to 1528. Babur had just founded the empire, and it was already teetering on the edge of total collapse. He had just pulled off two massive historic victories. At Panipat in 1526, he seized the throne of Delhi. A year later at Kanwa, he crushed the formidable Rajput forces pressing his borders. But taking a capital city is one thing. Forcing local warlords to actually accept your authority is completely different. The sheer weight of Babur's regime was fracturing the political structure beneath it. By tearing down the old rulers, Babur created a massive power vacuum across northern India. Earning the crown turned out to be the easy part. Surviving long enough to wear it was his real test. Take a look at this map of northern India. While Babur sat victorious in Delhi in the west, a massive anti-Mughal coalition was brewing in the east, out in modern-day Bihar. The regional Afghan chieftains flatly refused to bow to a Mughal outsider. They rallied their forces behind Mahmud Lodi, the brother of the Sultan Babur had just killed in battle. This gave the rebels a highly dangerous asset, a completely legitimate claim to the throne. And Lodi wasn't operating alone. The wealthy, untouched kingdom of Bengal started funneling money and troops straight into the rebel camps. This created a lethal ticking clock. If Babur stayed on the defensive in his new capital, that eastern coalition would eventually mature, march west, and wipe him off the map. He was staring down a ruler's absolute worst nightmare, a legitimate rival claimant, deeply entrenched and funded by a regional superpower. Babur decided not to wait for the storm to hit him. In early 1529, he gathered his army and marched east to strike first. As his troops moved through unfamiliar territory, Babur enforced severe military discipline. He strictly forbade looting or harassing the locals. He needed the eastern provinces to view him as a functioning state authority, not a wandering raider. By May of 1529, the Mughal army hit a massive natural wall, the Ghaghara River. Mahmud Lodi's enormous coalition was dug in directly across the water. Pushing an army straight across a wide, highly exposed river against an entrenched enemy is generally a quick way to lose your entire force. Babur's political crisis had physically bottlenecked into a geographical trap. He had to cross that water under heavy fire, or forfeit his empire. Look at this tactical layout. Babur engineered a combined arms amphibious assault. First, he split his troops into divisions, forcing the Afghan defenders to stretch their lines thin. Then, a fleet of boats ferried these flanking units across the water while taking enemy fire. To protect those highly vulnerable boats, he set up his heavy artillery along the riverbank, laying down a devastating barrage of covering fire. On May 6, 1529, the trap snapped shut. For hours, the Ghaghara riverbank was pure chaos, a dense collision of naval movement, charging cavalry, and blinding gunpowder smoke. The breaking point finally arrived. The sheer psychological terror of the cannon fire, combined with disciplined troops suddenly hitting their flanks, completely shattered Lodi's coalition. By integrating water transport with advanced gunpowder ballistics, Babur secured a victory so decisive that the Sultan of Bengal instantly sued for peace. The geopolitical fallout was immediate. Mahmud Lodi lost his political base, his royal credibility evaporated, and the Afghan resistance fractured permanently. It was right here, in the quiet after Ghaghra, that Babur's hold on northern India finally transitioned from a fragile illusion into a secure reality. Historians view this era as a trilogy of conquest. Panipat was step 1, seizing the political capital. Step 2 was Kanwa, neutralizing Rajput armies pressing his borders. But Ghaghra was the essential final step, locking the foundation into place. Without this final amphibious strike, The famous victories at Panipat and Kanwa would have been nothing more than temporary military anomalies. The timing of this final campaign is stark. Babur died in 1530, barely a single year after the dust settled at the river. He arrived in India facing a chaotic, violently contested territory. He left behind a unified, stabilized domain. That exact stability became the launchpad for his grandson, Akbar, who used this secure foundation to build the ultimate Mughal superpower. Winning a war is only the first part of the equation. True statecraft requires you to spot the quiet threats forming on your edges and march out to eliminate them before they mature. The Battle of Ghaghra proves that the survival of an empire depends entirely on the gritty work of consolidation. It's the battles you fight to secure your ground that actually keep you on the map.